The latest coming from the White River Magistrates Court in Mpumalanga, where 95 Libyan nationals arrested at a suspected illegal military training base made their second court appearance. Let's bring in Linda Mnisi now. Linda, you've been keeping a close eye on developments there, and the case we thought would resume this afternoon at the stroke of 12 o'clock. It's now been postponed to later this month.
Yes, indeed, Michelle. So the proceedings kick-started just after, they were lined up in court according to the accused numbers. And right at the beginning of proceedings, the magistrate laying some ground rules, because you'd remember that there are members of the media who had made an application. In fact, we had all made an application to fill in the proceedings, and the magistrate making a couple of rules that no faces of the accused persons can be shown, no private conversations can be recorded. We can't speak to them directly, as he believes whatever that is being said may prejudice the case if and when it goes to trial. Also banning live proceedings, so no live proceedings were permitted in this court. Only pictures can only be taken before and after proceedings. But you also remember that this matter was previously postponed for a court interpreter, and the services of an Arabic interpreter were acquired, and he was in court today explaining that they now had legal representation in the form of two lawyers who were in court. This was confirmed by the accused persons inside court. So the matter then had to be postponed to the 26th of this month for further investigations. But I mean, as you can hear behind me, it seemed as though, Michelle, they were quite unhappy about the decision to postpone this particular matter, and that conversation was then had with their legal representation about why it is that this matter has to be postponed. In fact, from what we could pick up, it seemed the postponement was too lengthy, and they were quite unhappy about why it was postponed. But just before proceedings started, they looked quite at ease. None of them showed any signs of distress. But obviously, after the proceedings were postponed, that's when we started seeing them, showing signs of unhappiness about the decision to postpone this matter for this long. They're now waiting to be transported back to a prison where they're kept. You remember, they're kept in custody until the next court appearance. And this, of course, also has to do with the fact that they have not brought in an application for bail. So this postponement means then that they will have to go back to prison, where they are detained with awaiting trial prisoners. Earlier, which is quite contrary to what we're seeing now and what we're hearing now, just as they wait to be transported back, Michelle, these are people who were asking journalists to take them pictures, some of them even posing for pictures showing the peace sign, asking journalists to take them pictures and of course videos just before these proceedings began. But now we're seeing a completely different picture. They're now waiting to be transported, as you can see, them waiting on the other side. So at this point, these are the visuals and what has been unfolding here at this particular court as they make their second court appearance. It was indeed a brief one, and the decision to then postpone this matter was, of course, made as per what the state said, that they needed some time, of course, for further investigations. I mean, despite there being a court order against speaking to the media, many of them continue, Michelle, to come close to members of the media, to want to speak to them. I mean, just now, as I'm live with you, there's a gentleman in a white shirt. He was making signs for us to come back. So you're hearing them chant now as they're waiting outside to be transported back. Some of them even showing peace signs. So this is what has been happening throughout their appearance. But the chanting only just started now. I must just quickly add there. And as you may know, the court interpreter was here earlier on, interpreting to them exactly what was being said. He confirmed. He was, in fact, confirming to them what's relaying, in fact, the messages that were being, sent by the court there. Michelle?
Linda, any clarity at this point? I know that the 95 suspects have been charged with violating the country's Immigration Act. Do we know whether the charge sheet has extended?
Well, at this point, there hasn't been any indication of the change in the charge sheet. What we know is that these people, they are... Okay, so we're seeing members of the police coming this side, Michelle, as the chanting continues that side. But back to your question, what we know so far is that the charges are still related to the contravention of the Immigration Act, and that's just how far it is at the moment. So you see there, the police are still asking about what is happening inside, because some of them are still inside court. All right, so they continue to chant on the other side, but as it stands now, Michelle, there hasn't been any discussions about what the further charges will be, if any. At the moment, the issue that was at hand, or the issues that were being dealt with, were preliminary issues around making sure that the legal representatives are confirmed, and that they have a court interpreter who will relay exactly what is being said. Most of the time, I also observed that the legal representatives also relied on the court interpreter to relay the message that was being sent to the police. I've got the SAPS spokesperson with me at the moment. Thank you so much for your time. I want to find out at this very moment if there are any more arrests that you have made. We know that the police minister did indicate that you cannot rule out the possibilities of arresting more people.
Thank you very much. For now, what we can say that the investigation is still ongoing. There are no additional suspects that we have arrested so far, but that investigation is still ongoing. Hence, I think you have heard in court during the postponement, the state indicated that because they are pending criminal case, hence the postponement of this case.
Are you able to tell us what those pending criminal cases are? Because what we know so far is that there are some community members that have come to report some cases.
What we can say now is that, remember, there were those allegations that some other members of the community reported cases. However, so far we are still waiting. However, the investigation that is ongoing is with regard to these 95 Libyan nationals, as well as the farm where the training was taking place. So that investigation is still ongoing, and the state has now been offered space to investigate before that appearance on the 26th.
Okay. So, I mean, when we look at the people who were running this farm, obviously there were leaders that were running this particular site. Have you brought them in for questioning? And what have they told the police so far? Are there even any possibilities of them being arrested?
That part of investigation will cover everything. However, we cannot at this point give blow by blow as to who has been questioned, who has been taken in, because of the sensitivity of this matter. However, be assured that police and other stakeholders that are investigating this are having everything in their hands. So we are hoping that as soon as that investigation has been concluded, then the public will be, the information will be communicated accordingly to the public.
And as part of your investigations, are there any serious, issues that you're investigating? Are there serious crimes that may have been committed that you are investigating at the moment?
Remember on this one of the 95, we're talking about contravention of the Immigration Act as well as misrepresentation allegedly by the 95 Libyan nationals. So the other information is the one that I'm indicating with regard to these trainers or the people that were conducting the training and all that. That's why at the moment the state is, unfortunately cannot divulge the information that is very sensitive. Remember, this is a country that is standing on its own. So we are investigating because we need to understand, checking on where they come from and all that. So we are going to communicate that information once it has been concluded. However, with regard to those rumors that there were people, especially coming from Masoi, I think you have seen them indicating that there are criminal cases. We are not saying that it didn't happen. However, we are still calling for those that might have been victims to come forth. So far, we are still waiting for that, but we are not saying that it has not yet happened, but it has not yet been formally reported. So we encourage members of the public who might have been victims to come forth so that the police can investigate, because you cannot investigate when someone has not laid formally a charge. So that will help us. So we call on community members who have claimed to have been victimized to come forth so that it can be investigated.
And does this investigation include communication with the Libyan government? Have you been in contact with them as the South African police? Have you been to the embassy to find out what it is that they know about these 95 Libyans?
Remember, among the stakeholders that we're talking about, we've got our security state agent, SSA, we've got DECO, we've got all those other role players like the Interpol. So that's why we are saying the investigation is still on, of which I believe that they consider every angle. So let us allow them a space to investigate and conclude, and once that is done, then it's going to be communicated accordingly.
Okay, thank you very much. That is the spokesperson of the SAPS here in Mpumalanga talking about that investigation. Michelle saying it's a multi investigation which involves a number of institutions that are in the security cluster, as of course those investigations continue. We're just on standby to speak to the NPA spokesperson to give us further details about the kind of charges that they are looking at and whether further information has been provided to them to look into, because you'll remember, like they indicated last week, that part of their role is to assess the evidence that they're given by the police. And at this moment, they believe that they have a prima facie case against the accused. And that's in relation to the charges of contravening the Immigration Act. So in as far as other charges are concerned, while they said that they have not or do not rule out the possibilities of adding them, do they have any more charges that they are preferring? Monica is from the NPA and is joining us now. Monica, thank you so much for your time. You're live on Newzroom Afrika. Let's talk about what you have so far. This matter obviously has been postponed for further investigations. And as the NPA, you said you cannot rule out the possibilities of adding more charges. Has there been any development from the last time? And has the charge sheet changed?
Everything remains the same. What I can say is that the NPA, together with the police, working tirelessly in ensuring that the outstanding investigations is getting finalized. So if you remember today, the matter was postponed for the Arabic language interpreter as well as for
further investigation.
As well as for further investigations. So when they appeared in court today, the Arabic interpreter was present in court, and then the matter is postponed for further investigations. So that further investigations will determine whether additional charges will be added or towards some of the accused, or maybe more arrests will be made.
Do you know if has there been any communication between the NPA as well as their legal representatives about possibly issues relating to visas? Because we're picking up that there are issues that they may at a later stage raise about visas that have since been revoked by Home Affairs.
Remember, the accused were appearing for the first time with their legal representative today. So there is nothing much that has taken place between the accused together with their legal representatives.
And have you communicated with perhaps the correctional services about how that consultation will take place? I mean, I know that's between, the correctional services as well as the accused and their lawyers. But I mean, looking at what is happening now, and, you can see even one of them having a conversation through the fence. How is that likely going to happen? Do you have any idea?
Remember, the National Prosecuting Authority together with the police are not working alone in the criminal justice cluster. We are working as a chain. So what is transpiring at this stage is that the NPA together with the police and the other partners in crime are working together in ensuring that they bring justice to this, in order to ensure that the matter is taken to court and the accused are prosecuted.
All right, thank you very much. That is the NPA spokesperson, who's Monica Newzroom, who is giving us an indication of where the matter stands at this moment. It remains as is, Michelle, at the moment. There hasn't been any particular changes to the charge sheet, and it's related to the fact that the accused had to get legal representation, and the court interpreter who would then interpret what is being said and the messages, the communication between the courts to the accused. So at this point, as you can hear, not much has happened, and from here on, Michelle, what will happen is that legal representatives, the defense, will then take instructions about, of course, a way forward, and then there'll be a sense of direction and where this matter will go after today. But at this point, things are pretty much stagnant, because the police have also not brought in any new evidence that will be enrolled in this matter. So they're still facing the same charges and are, of course, going to wait until a later stage. And if there will be a need to add any charges in this matter. Michelle?
Intelligence tells us, on the one hand, that in fact they were aware of the 95 Libyans and their presence in the country. Experts working in the field say there was a massive failure of intelligence. What's the sense you're getting in covering the story?
Well, Michelle, I mean, you even hear it from the people that were standing on the side of the road, really questioning how this was happening for such a long time that it was not properly picked up. And the comments that people made on the side of the road, vary. Some even saying it looks like they are now being well taken care of, given, of course, how happy they were when they arrived and seemingly in a jovial mood. But there are legitimate concerns. In fact, there are concerns that the community members are raising about even the conduct of these 95 Libyans. So on the ground, there is a sense of displeasure. My colleague Mweli Masilela was speaking to some of them, earlier this morning who were quite clear about what they wanted. What they were telling him was that they want justice to prevail, and of course for the other matters to be investigated. You see now the truck that was carrying some of those 95 Libyans now making its way inside. In there you see bags, what seems to be traveling bags, Michelle, that are inside that truck. It's one of the trucks that brought them here, and of course, as they offloaded them, they then went into where this truck is going in. This is now in preparation to go back to the correctional facility that they are kept in. But the concerns that are coming from community members are about, even the conduct of the 95 Libyans. So they want justice to be served. They're telling journalists on the ground that they want to see this matter through. It seems as though, Michelle, they want to see where this matter will go and how far it'll go and what measures will be taken to even prevent such a thing from happening. Some of even the questions that are coming up are whether or not there may be more of these camps here in Mpumalanga or even in other provinces in the country.
Linda, thanks for that. We're going to stay with the story and take us to another vantage point, but on the same premises of the Magistrates Court as Linda is. Our colleague Mweli Masilela is also tracking the story. And Mweli, you've got a different vantage point for us. I think you were quite closer to where some of those nationals were in conversation with their legal representative.
Yes, Michelle, I can tell you that there's actually a bit of chaos, understandably so, because even some of the community members wanted to come into court to have a feel of what is actually happening, because it's the first time we are seeing about 95 people appearing in court, and these are foreign nationals. You've heard from my colleague Linda about the frustrations from the side of the family, who were actually even complaining on the day of the arrest to say that when they heard the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, actually saying that they want to deport these people as soon as possible. And the questions from the side of the community members was actually as to what will then happen if these people are deported. How are they going to account for some of the alleged criminal activities that they were involved in on the side of the community, which include harassment and robbery of different items, as well as allegations coming from the side of the community that there are those people who were raped. So what we are seeing at the present moment here is that there is a lot of conversation between the 95 men, and most of them shouting most of the time. And I overheard one of the people, one of the 95 Libyan nationals, actually was speaking to some officials from the Correctional Services Department. What he was actually saying is that they are not happy with what is happening, and actually they believe that the owner of the security, the training facility, should be the one held accountable. They've got nothing to do with this, because they actually were brought here to train for security, and they don't know, according to him, as to why they are being kept here. And you can see that there is that particular kind of frustration. I also heard from some of the people saying that they are making noise because they are saying that they don't have access to food and other things like cigarettes and drinks. So that might be one of the issues of concern from their side. That is why they are making a bit of noise. But surely, from the side of the MEC for Community Safety, Jackie Masia, I spoke to him earlier on. He was actually maintaining that they will only divulge more information once the investigation is done, because also, as you heard from General Fani Masimula, the National Police Commissioner, during the time they made a visit with the Minister of Police, they made it very clear that there is a thin line, because this is an accredited security training facility. So there is a thin line. They must be careful when they deal with this particular issue in terms of the investigation. They don't want to compromise this investigation. investigation, so they won't be divulging much information as authorities at this stage, but they are very optimistic that they are on the right track. So what they are hoping is that after all is done, they will be able to give us clarity, Michelle. But as we were in the community, even early this morning, the community is still concerned, mainly because even the authorities made it very clear that there might be more camps of a similar nature of the one where these 95 people were arrested. So the question is, how safe are community members? Because most of them have made it very clear that there are indeed cases that were opened, particularly at the Masoi police station, and they want those cases to be investigated. And that is actually information that also came from the side of police officers to say that they got those concerns from the community members that these people, allegedly the Libyan nationals, as much as they were enjoying themselves with some community members sometimes, but there were those elements of criminality in the community. So they are saying that the law should take its course, Mr. in as far as this issue is concerned.
Mweli Masilela, thanks very much indeed. Part of our team tracking that story from the White River Magistrates Court in Mpumalanga alongside Linda Mnisi as well.